So here we are, we've had Jurassic Park, we've had The Lost World, we've had Jurassic Park 3, and now we're on to a new era of Jurassic films. And that new era starts off with Jurassic World. Jurassic World. Jurassic World was released in 2015 and it's directed by Colin and this time has a music by Michael Giacchino. Michael Giacchino, who's written some of the most famous scores over the past 10 years, such as the scores for the most recent Planet of the Apes films, most recent Star Trek films, as well as the score for Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Doctor Strange, as well as The Incredibles score, which is absolutely fantastic, and the themes for Inside Out. He's done a lot of famous scores over the past 10 years and he's really underrated, and he did the music for this film as well, and as well as that he also did the music for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. The film stars Chris Pratt, Bryce, Vincent D'Onofrio, with Simpkins, Nick Robinson, Irrfan, Kahn, and my pronunciation name wrong, apologies if I am. As well as that we also have Jake Johnson, Omar Sy, and BD Wong returning as Dr. Henry Wu. Basically, the plot of the film, it's quite similar to the original Jurassic Park plot when you actually think about it. But anyway, basically, this film takes place on Island Nublar, the same island from the first Jurassic Park film. And a new park is being built there. This new park is known as Jurassic World. It's meant to be bigger, better, and it's got loads more attractions than the original Jurassic Park. And one significant difference that this park has to the original Jurassic Park is that this park is actually open. Loads of people already go there, and there are loads of attractions, loads more dinosaurs, and it's meant to look bigger and better through CGI. And basically, we follow the story of two kids. These two kids are played by Simpkins and Nick Robinson. They're Claire's nephews. Claire, played by Bryce, all the time in the film. And basically, they go to the park for a week to go and explore the dinosaurs with their aunt Claire. But at the same time, Claire, played by Bryce, all the time, has an important role to play in the way Jurassic World runs. Whenever a new investor comes, she has to speak to them personally. So she doesn't actually have enough time to spend with her nephews. So the nephews go on a roam the park basically by themselves. But at the same time, a new genetically engineered hybrid dinosaur has been created. This dinosaur is known as the Indominus Rex, basically being created out of loads of other hybrids of different dinosaurs, but mainly T-Rex, hence the name, Indominus Rex, the T-Rex. And long story short, the Indominus Rex get let loose in the park. We go back to these kids played by Simpkins and Nick Robinson, which are Claire's nephews, and basically they're roaming the park by themselves now. They kind of get lost, and they're on their own, and they have a run-in with the Indominus Rex. A lot of complications start to occur as the Indominus Rex starts to cause havoc on this park, killing off people one by one. But Claire gets really worried that her nephews are going to come into contact with this Indominus Rex, and they're going to get killed by this Indominus Rex. So she turns to her ex-boyfriend / raptor trainer, Owen Grady, played by Chris Pratt in the film. And basically, those two characters, Claire and Owen, who used to go out, who now both work in Jurassic World, they are going off to try and find Claire's nephews. But at the same time, more dinosaurs keep getting released, and basically, Claire's nephews and Claire and Owen who come back into contact with each other. But at the same time, Hoskins comes back into the mix. Hoskins, played by Vincent D'Onofrio in the film. Basically, he has this cynical plan to basically use the raptors as army weapons for its own liking, so they can go and hunt down the Indominus Rex through these velociraptors. But his plan doesn't go as it seems, and actually, his Velociraptor plan makes things quite a lot worse. See, everything comes down to the final act of the film, to the final part of the film, where basically Claire, Owen, and the two nephews are the only ones left in the island. Well, you kind of get the idea, the only ones left in the island, and they are left to fend off against the Indominus Rex. However, Claire has one last special weapon in store to try and defeat this Indominus Rex. And that's basically the plot of the film. There's some other storylines thrown into the film, which I'm going to talk about later in this in-depth review. But yeah, and I'm going to take you guys back to 2015 now, when this film initially came out. I was so excited to watch this film. When I heard this film was actually happening, like a year before it actually came out, I remember I went back and watched the first Jurassic Park. I loved it, and I went back and watched Lost World. I only thought it was fantastic anyway, and then I even watched Jurassic Park 3. I was like, excited for that film. And to be honest, I've never really been a fan of Jurassic Park 3, because I was so excited to watch this film. And I remember when the trailer came out, like a couple of months before, I wouldn't stop watching the trailer. I remember the week leading up to watching the cinema, I was so excited. That was all my mind, like, oh my god, how is this new Jurassic film going to turn out? And then I remember I got to watch it in an IMAX screen, one of the biggest cinemas I'd ever seen it on, and I was so excited. And bear in mind, this was 2015. I didn't go to the cinema all the time. This isn't like I do now when I go to, well, obviously not in this situation we're in the moment with the pandemic. But back before this pandemic ever started, I used to go to the cinema like sometimes twice a week, once or twice a week, and I got loads now. Back in 2015, I didn't. So this was a big deal for me going to the cinema to watch a film. And it was a Jurassic film as well. We hadn't had a Jurassic film for 14 years, ever since the hugely disappointing Jurassic Park 3. We hadn't had another Jurassic film for 14 years. If you don't like Jurassic Park 3, we haven't had a good Jurassic Park since for 18 years. And if you don't like The Lost World, then we haven't had a good Jurassic Park for a long while, to say the least. And so when Jurassic World came out, needless to say, I was quite excited. And I remember watching it in the cinema. I remember absolutely loving it the first time I saw it. I just couldn't get over how good it was. I remember certain scenes in the cinema was just amazing to watch in this film. As I've watched the film over the time, over the past couple of years, over the past 5 years, I started to realise that this film does have problems. It's not a terrible film, in my opinion. I do not dislike this film, but at the same time, I don't love this film like I once did. It's got some really, really good parts, in my opinion. But at the same time, it's got some really weird parts, and it has a lot of plot holes, which I'm going to discuss in my in-depth review of this film. So where do we start? We start at the beginning. Let's talk about the opening scene of the film. This is just a small opening scene where you get the titles, you know, Jurassic World, it just comes on the screen, you get like FUD, and then the opening scene of the film is these velociraptors hatching out their eggs. And I like the scene. It's just a small homage to the raptor egg hatching scene from the original Jurassic Park. I like the scene. It's also got an eerie score from Michael Giacchino in this opening scene, which I really liked. It kind of sets the tone for the film, or at least you think it might. I really liked the opening scene. And then we jump to this family. This family consists of Claire's nephews, played by Nick Robinson and Ty Simpkins. We also meet their parents, and their parents are played by Judy Greer and Andy Buckley. I mean, that's just some weird casting and all, but yeah. And there's a couple of things I like about the scene and a couple of things I don't. One thing I do like about the scene is the way we introduce to Ty Simpkins' character. He's looking through old pictures of dinosaurs, and I think that's the original Lost World pictures, which is, that's pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, yeah, I really like the way we introduce his character. You know, he's flicking through old pictures of dinosaurs. You can really get this idea, you know, he's a bit of a dinosaur nerd. He's a dinosaur expert, but he can't wait to go to Jurassic World. But then I don't like the way we introduce Nick Robinson's character. He has his girlfriend, and his girlfriend's like, send me pictures every day, so don't forget what you look like. Really one of those characters. I'm being completely honest with you, even when I watched it for the first time, I was completely interested in his character then, because I realised, oh, he's one of those characters, and also he doesn't get along with his brother, played by Ty Simpkins, and just to be like, I wonder where that relationship's going to go for the rest of the film. Like, I can't see myself coming out of this film saying to whoever I watched it with, you know what I'm saying, I absolutely loved in that film, how the relationship between the two brothers developed over time, and they soon came to love each other once again. I can't see myself saying that coming out of a Jurassic film. I'm going out of a Jurassic film and saying, you know, how awesome was that scene with the Velociraptors? How awesome was that scene with the T-Rex? No, the relationship between the brothers was magical. It's not. But anyway, one other thing I don't really get about the scene is why is it set at Christmas? Why is the opening scene set at Christmas? Because it's clearly snow there. And also when they get in the car on the way to the airport, or on the way to the port, wherever they're going to go, when they're on the car on the way there, you have yourself a Merry Little Christmas playing on the radio. Why? I'm fine with it being Christmas if that plays some significance, or if you refer to it again later in the plot. It isn't. It's just Christmas in the opening scene. And then with Jurassic World, there's no mention of Christmas at all. You think a big park like Jurassic World would try and cash in on the whole idea of Christmas. I don't know if it's Christmas at Jurassic World, they would probably do some, you know, some marketing schemes to try and cash in on it. I mean, I know I'm reading into this a bit, but still, there's no mention of Christmas for the rest of the film. Not even at the end of the film, when you see the kids reuniting with their parents, there's no mention of Christmas again in this film. Just at the beginning of the film, which every time I watch the film, it's kind of like, why is it Christmas at the start of the film? We really also get this plotline thrown in with basically the parents of these kids, Judy Greer and Andy Buckley, basically they're getting a divorce, and this plotline is just thrown in there. It plays no significance to the rest of the plot. It's thrown in there occasionally, you get a few mentions of it occasionally after the scene, and Andy Buckley's character's just like, so much for one last family breakfast. Why is the plotline in there? If it plays some significance, maybe you wouldn't mind it, but it's thrown in there every now and then, and it's not really important at all. Then we get the introduction to Jurassic World, and I must admit, I do like this scene quite a lot. You know, even so people criticize the scene saying like the whole Jurassic World just looks like one big CGI theme park. Bear in mind this film was made in 2015. That's what people like now. People like big theme parks. That's what attracts people. This is not the same sort of people that would have gone to Jurassic Park. It's big, it's meant to look bigger. They couldn't construct one big huge Jurassic World set, so they made it out of CGI. I'm fine with that. I also like the way it's introduced. You just get the Jurassic Park theme coming on the background, the original John Williams Jurassic Park theme is like it slowly builds up, and then they run into the hotel room, Ty Simpson's guys, and he opens the door to the balcony, and you get this huge wide shot of Jurassic World, and you just get the original Jurassic Park theme playing in the background. You know, I love that scene. I thought that was fantastic. It was a fantastic way to introduce Jurassic World. And I know I do understand people's criticism, like, how is that a Jurassic World? At the same time, it is what it is. I accept it for what it is, and I actually kind of like that scene. Then we were introduced to Bryce Dallas Howard's character, Claire. Claire plays quite a big role in the way that Jurassic World runs. Like I said, she talks to all the people who want to invest in the park. And we're introduced to her character, but I don't really like her introduction. I like one of the lines she says, like, people aren't wowed by dinosaurs anymore. I actually kind of like that idea, because bear in mind, Jurassic Park was back in 1993. If you didn't believe what happened at Jurassic Park, The Lost World was 1997. So it's been a good 18 years since people have really seen a dinosaur, and I do actually kind of like that idea, especially if Jurassic World being open for a while, which you kind of get the impression because, you know, it's a huge park, going to get loads of attractions, to get loads of investors. You kind of get this idea that Jurassic World has been open for a while now, and I do really like the idea that people aren't wowed by dinosaurs anymore, and that they have to create this new genetically engineered dinosaur to wow people, to bring more attractions and more investors to this park. I like that idea. I also like the whole idea of the Indominus Rex. I do not mind that idea. It brings something into the franchise. And even so, this film is just a really, if you really think about it, it's a soft reboot to this Jurassic franchise. It's basically trying to create that magic from the first Jurassic Park film, even to the point that, you know, both Jurassic World and Jurassic Park have glaring similarities. This film does try to do some things different, and I added an Indominus Rex in there, which I did like quite a lot. I'm not gonna lie. It adds something different. It's a dinosaur we haven't seen in this franchise before, and it's kind of exciting to see how this dinosaur is going to deal with the other dinosaurs in this park later on the film. I do like the introduction there, and I like the way that from Kahn's character, you know, Masrani basically says something like, "Scare the kids, it'll give the adults nightmares." And that's I like that. I like the introduction to the Indominus Rex, and I even like the idea of the Indominus Rex. And then we get the introduction to Owen Grady. Owen Grady, played by Chris Pratt in the film. He's probably my favourite character on these new Jurassic World films, I'm not going to lie. I really like Chris Pratt. That might be why, but I really like Chris Pratt's performance in the film. I think Chris Pratt's a fantastic actor overall, but I really like his performance in the film. I also love the way he's introduced. You can tell he has a special bond with Velociraptor just for the way he's introduced, and he's just like, hey, 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 hey. Don't give me any of that shit, and he's really, really good. I just love the way he's introduced, and you kind of get the idea that he has this strong bond with Velociraptors, and he almost treats Velociraptors as if they're other characters along with him in this world, and I really like that idea. I think that whole scene where he's trying to hold off the Velociraptors, and he managed to just get away in time before being eaten alive, it's fantastic. And then we also get the introduction to Hoskins here. Hoskins played by Vincent D'Onofrio in the film. I'm actually a fan of Vincent D'Onofrio. I've seen him in a few things now. I think he's actually a really good actor. Unfortunately, in this film, I don't really like him. Not to say Vincent D'Onofrio's performance is bad in the film, but the Hoskins character is just kind of there. I suppose he kind of plays an antagonist role, but at the same time doesn't. He's not in it enough to be an antagonist, in my opinion. And also, his plan isn't totally evil. I mean, it is quite cynical to a huge degree, but it isn't totally when you think about it. He does want to save people on Jurassic World. He wants to use Velociraptors to save people on this island. But at the same time, I don't really like the character. He's got this really silly plan to use the Velociraptors as basically army weapons for his own liking, and it's just a bit like, really, it's a bit of a silly idea. Vincent D'Onofrio's performance is alright, just don't really like the Hoskins character. Then we jump back to Claire's nephews. Claire's nephews, once again, played by Nick Robinson and Ty Simpkins, and they're exploring this huge Jurassic World now. We see more of the Jurassic World attractions now. We've got some nice nods to the original Jurassic Park here, and also we get to see there's a dinosaur petting zoo, which, by the way, is a brilliant idea. I really like the whole attraction here. We really get this idea, oh wow, Jurassic World has developed, and lots of people love this place. You know, a dinosaur petting zoo. I never thought I'd see that in a Jurassic film, and I'm so glad that I actually did. So here we get an introduction to the relationship between Owen and Claire here. Owen played by Chris Pratt, and Claire played by Bryce. And I really like this scene. You know, it's going to be a comedy in there. I think Chris Pratt as Owen Grady probably brings the most comedy to the Jurassic World films. Whenever he says something in the Jurassic World films, I actually do generally laugh. Some of the comedy falls flat with some of the other characters, but with him, it works. And I really like this scene. You kind of get the idea that these two characters used to be in a romantic relationship. You know, they're both exes to each other. There's good chemistry between Bryce and Chris Pratt, and it works well, this scene. And then basically we see Owen go to the Indominus Rex enclosure. We have to go and inspect this dinosaur. But basically, they actually think that the Indominus Rex has somehow got out of the enclosure. It's somehow, because there's a tracking system in the dinosaur, and the tracking system is not actually in the enclosure anymore. So they're kind of like, oh my god, where is it? So Owen and two of the people who work in Jurassic World actually go in the enclosure to go and try and find the Indominus Rex. But then apparently the Indominus Rex is actually still in the enclosure. So Claire has gone off trying to find the Indominus Rex elsewhere, and basically the Indominus Rex is actually in this enclosure, where the Indominus Rex actually gets out of the enclosure, kills the two people who work at Jurassic World. Owen only just managed to survive, and I really like this scene though. I really like the way that Owen actually, you can tell he really knows he thinks about dinosaurs, because he gets under a car to try and get this away from this Indominus Rex, and he squirts gasoline all over himself. The Indominus Rex won't smell him, and what do you know, he's there. And I really like that actually. You're gonna get the idea of this. Owen, okay, he knows his things about dinosaurs. Then we jump back to Claire's nephews, played by Nick Robinson and Ty Simpkins. They're in the gyrospheres now, and these are basically the hamster balls. I'm going to call them the hamster balls for the sake of this review, but yeah, they're basically the big hamster balls. I actually kind of like the hamster balls. And also, you get to see a load more dinosaurs here, which kind of bring back memories of the Lost World, which I was a fan of, so I kind of like that. But also, here we get a weird cameo from Jimmy Fallon. If you're not American, the chances are guy, you're not going to know who he is. Like, I know who he is because I sometimes watch celebrity talk shows, American celebrity talk shows on YouTube, and I've seen his show a couple of times, although it's dead cringy, but I've seen his show a couple of times, and so I knew who he was when I watched this film. When Jimmy Fallon showed up, I was just a bit like, why? And then it's a bit of a weird cameo, and if you're not American, you're not totally going to get it. Then Claire's nephews make a stupid decision. They're being told to go back to the main park because this Indominus Rex is roaming loose in this park. Basically, Nick Wilmington goes against. Nick Wilmington character just says to Tyler Simpson character, I'm just worried you're not getting the full Jurassic World experience. And this is a bit like, seriously, there's an Indominus Rex roaming about and you want to go into this dark forest? It's just, yeah, you can just tell that some bad's gonna happen to these characters, and surprise, surprise, it does. They come into contact with the Indominus Rex. The Indominus Rex literally tries to kill them in their hamster ball, but the kids manage to just get away. This is the thing with these kids in this film. I never believed that these kids were in danger in this film. I never believed that these two kids were in danger. I believe that Timmy and Lex were in danger in the original Jurassic Park. I didn't even believe that Kelly was in danger, Malcolm's daughter, in The Lost World. The thing is with this film, I never believed that these kids were in danger, and that kind of annoyed me, that, because I understand why they're in this film, because it kind of brings through that themes of fatherhood from the original Jurassic Park films, but at the same time doesn't, but kind of the same time does, protecting their kids at all costs. But at the same time, I just don't really think the kids actually are that good of actors, and I never actually believed that these characters were in genuine danger. And then you get Claire and Owen, and they're trying to go around the park, they're trying to go and find Claire's nephew, because she's really worried what's happened to them. They're alone in the park, and basically there's an Indominus Rex roaming around the park, and she's really worried what's happened to them. So she brings Owen along with him, so they can go and find her nephews. And basically they're always one step behind the nephews. As we jump back to nephews, nephews actually go into the old park in this island. So the original Jurassic Park is on this island. I understand why they put it in. It's the filmmakers just trying to, like, remember the original Jurassic Park? We're trying to recreate that magic here. Remember that film? We're trying to recreate that magic here. Look, it's the same Jurassic Park from the first Jurassic Park. It's that whole nostalgia trip in there. And I didn't mind that. I don't mind the nods to Jurassic Park in this film, because in the end this film is a soft reboot to the Jurassic franchise after the failure which was Jurassic Park 3. But this was a bit too much, going back to the old park, because when you watch it time and time again, I always question this. Why is the old park even on this island? Like, you'd think if they're going to build a completely new Jurassic Park, or Jurassic World park, you'd think they would knock down the old park to make space for new attractions, maybe. But instead, it's still here, and it's still rotting away. It looks like it hasn't been touched since 1993, so it looks a bit weird, and I don't understand why it's here. And even so, I do like the slight nods here to Jurassic Park. You get the whole glasses that Timmy wore here. Like, the film was like, remember the original Jurassic Park? We're trying to create that magic here. And now look at this. We're back. Magic, come on. Feel it, and it doesn't work. And also, to this day, I don't actually understand how these two kids, how Claire's nephews managed to get the Jeep working. This Jeep, which hasn't been working since 1993, I don't understand how they managed to get it working. Then actually Claire and Owen get into the old park area. The Indominus Rex is shortly behind, and the Indominus Rex does the exact same pose that the T-Rex did at the end of Jurassic Park, the banner falls over, and it's the Indominus Rex in this one does that exact same pose right here. And it's just a bit like, really? This is one big nostalgia trip, just like, oh wow, it's like the filmmakers are so obsessed with Jurassic Park. I'm fine with the nods, but that was a bit too much. I actually rolled my eyes, even when I initially saw that. I remember just rolling my eyes and thinking, oh wow, one big nod to Jurassic Park. In Jurassic Park, we're trying to recreate that magic here. Going back to the Jeep with the two nephews. Even so, still today, I don't know how Claire's nephews managed to get, the Jeep to work. We get a small funny scene to do it that way. There's two people who work at Jurassic World. You basically see the Jeep coming up to a gate, and then one of the people just go, well, you don't see that every day. It is pretty funny, that I'm not gonna lie. I did actually laugh at that in the cinema. Then you get this whole Pterodon scene, where basically the Indominus Rex is running to the Pterodon enclosure, and basically Irrfan Kahn's character, Masrani, who is in this helicopter who's following the Indominus Rex. The Indominus Rex goes into the big pterodactyl enclosure, and basically all these pterodactyls and all these pterodons get let loose, and basically then you get this death of Masrani, played by Irrfan Kahn, and it's so anticlimactic. Like, you'd think that Masrani was this important character, that, Hammond left all his money towards, so, Masrani can build this Jurassic World, and this supposedly important and key character in this whole franchise just has such an anticlimactic death here, where basically all these pterodons and all these pterodactyls, are trying to claw into his helicopter he's in, and his face is just like, and then the helicopter explodes on the ground. And so all the pterodons are let loose. So they get this pterodon team, the pterodons are going into the main part of the park, and literally picking everyone up, and everyone's like really scared about the pterodons. And I must admit, I do really like this scene, because it's almost like Trevorrow actually watched the pterodon scene from Jurassic Park 3 and realised how bad that was, and was just like, you know what, I'm going to make it better. And then he did the pterodon scene in this film, and it's absolutely fantastic. I think the pterodon scene's great. And also, I love the way that this woman dies, this woman who's meant to be looking after Claire's nephews. Basically, she gets picked by a pterodactyl, she gets fall into the water. Then the pterodactyl picks her up again. She's being eaten by, she's being taken by the pterodactyl in the air. And the Mosasaurus just comes up from the bottom and she just grabs her. And then, oh my god, it's absolutely fantastic. Even though that scene was a bit over-exaggerated, I must admit, it's actually one of my favourite scenes in the whole film. But then you get this out-of-place scene to do with Claire and Owen, where basically they are kissing each other in the middle of this whole pterodon scene, where all these pterodons and pterodactyls are wreaking havoc over the main part of the island. And they just get Claire and Owen kissing in the middle of it. It's a bit like that out of place, don't you think? Then Claire, Owen, and Claire's nephews all reunite with each other. It's suddenly night, just like that. Owen makes it back to the Velociraptor enclosure where we saw him earlier on in the film. He comes back into contact with Vincent D'Onofrio's character, Hoskins. Now you realise how cynical his plan is, because Claire actually says, like, you wanted this to happen, you sick bastard, something like that. And it's just like, oh wow, like he did, like he really wanted the Indominus Rex to get out, and he really wanted all these dinosaurs to get out and wreak havoc over his pack, so he can put his Velociraptor plan into action. You realise how cynical and evil his plan is, and how actually much of a nice character he is. Because he's not, he's a really, really bad character himself. And he's kind of the antagonist, but at the same time, he's not, because he is trying to help these characters defeat the Indominus Rex for the Velociraptors, and it was kind of bad, but kind of not, but mainly bad, but there's a bit of good to him in a way. And as well here, even so I'm not a huge fan of the Velociraptors plotline because I think it's a bit silly, we do actually get one of my favourite scenes in the whole of the film, where basically Pratt is in the dark, he's in the night, and he's riding through the jungle with Velociraptors by his side. He's just riding through the jungle with his motorbike. It's a really good scene. It's a fantastic score by Michael Giacchino going on in the background. He's riding through the jungle with his motorbike, and he just looks to the side, he sees the Velociraptor, and he just smiles, like, you can just see him thinking, this is really happening, and that's actually a fantastic scene. I also like the whole idea where actually the Velociraptor plan goes south, and actually the Velociraptors team up with the Indominus Rex, and they get there. Owen's like, I know they want to tell us what that thing's made of. It's part raptor. You just get all the Velociraptors and the Indominus Rex like wiping out all these Jurassic World soldiers in this army, and it's absolutely fantastic. And by the way, side note here, somehow Hoskins brought this whole army of people to this island without anyone noticing, because as you see earlier on in the film, Hoskins' army gets onto the island on the other side of the island, and the only character that notices, Omar Sy's character, which is Owen's friend. This huge army gets on this island, Hoskins' army, and no one else notices. And does that mean anyone can get on this island? Because, literally, the army just comes out of nowhere. Hoskins is using it for his big Velociraptor plan. But jump back to now, I must admit, I do like the scene with the Indominus Rex and the Velociraptors team up. I then get this really, really weird scene to do with Henry Reed, played by B.D. Wong. This scene which isn't explained in the second Jurassic World film. I hope they explain it in the third Jurassic World film. Dr. Henry Moore is like, is Hoskins' deal still intact? You don't understand what that is, and it's just really weird, and it's thrown in there. I hope they explain it in the next Jurassic World film, because they did it in the second one. It's just thrown in there, it's a bit weird. Then jump back to the main park of the island, and somehow Hoskins, who ran back to the main part of the island, has actually beaten Claire and Owen. Owen, who got back to the main part of the island on a motorbike, and Claire, who went back to the main part of the island in a truck with her two nephews in the back. Somehow Hoskins, who ran there on foot, managed to beat both of them. Anyway, I must still admit, I do like the way that Hoskins' character dies in the sea. He was eaten by Velociraptors, which he kind of deserves, he got what was coming to him. But then, the Indominus Rex is at the main part of the island. Owen and Claire must try and defeat the Indominus Rex as best as possible. And I also do like the way that Owen actually, tries to keep these kids safe as best as possible. Tara Simpson's character is just like, we need more teeth. That's when the special weapons comes out. And all through the film, remember the first time I watched it, I kept thinking, are they going to bring out a T-Rex this scene? Are they going to bring out a T-Rex here? They're going to bring out a T-Rex here. Come on, please don't forget about the T-Rex, Colin. Please don't forget about the T-Rex. And he didn't! Because here he brings out a special weapon, which is the T-Rex. And the way the T-Rex comes out in this film, I just absolutely love this scene. Like, the filmmakers almost make you think that they forgot about the T-Rex, and then they haven't. It comes back out, and the whole scene shot in slow motion. Claire is holding this flare, trying to direct this T-Rex to go to the Indominus Rex, and even so, the flare is a whole nod to the original Jurassic Park. So when you get the whole big T-Rex in the original Jurassic Park, Gran and Malcolm, they both use flares to try and distract the T-Rex away from the kids in that film. Then here you get Claire using the flare to try and direct the T-Rex's attention. So that's one big nod to the original Jurassic Park, and I actually kind of like that. I'm not gonna lie. Even so, she's wearing heels in this scene. How is she still wearing heels running away from all these dinosaurs, which I still don't understand. Even so, she's wearing heels in the scene. I think this whole scene when they bring out the T-Rex, with slow motion, for the fact that the T-Rex is here, the fact that the flares there, just that whole scene where you finally get to see the T-Rex in a proper way, just gives me goosebumps. I love the way they did that. I really did. Even after all this time, I must admit, that whole T-Rex bit, it gives me goosebumps. Then you get the T-Rex and the Indominus Rex fight, and this was the fight I wanted to see between the Spinosaurus and the T-Rex in Jurassic Park 3, and we didn't get that. It was like a small 3-minute fight, not even that in Jurassic Park 3, but here, Colin delivers. And then the Indominus Rex and the T-Rex fight here. It's absolutely fantastic. I loved it. And the fact that the T-Rex is about to lose, but then Baloo, the Velociraptor, who's quite an important Velociraptor, by the way, get a hint of the John Williams Lost World theme, which I must admit did give me goosebumps when I was first watching the cinema, because I was just like, yes! Thank you, Michael Giacchino, because you said the Lost World theme. I didn't expect that. It was absolutely fantastic. You know, the Velociraptor comes in and go boom, dum, dun, 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 dun. This is a tad glimmer of the Lost World theme, but I did like that I was put in there, I must admit. Then the Velociraptor and the T-Rex manage to fight off the Indominus Rex, and it's thrown into the wall, and then it's basically eaten by the Mosasaurus, and the Indominus Rex has a fantastic fate. And I must admit, I do like the way the Indominus Rex dies in this film. I like the way that the T-Rex is still alive, and I like that he didn't kill off the T-Rex, like they did in Jurassic Park 3. I also like the way that, you know, in this scene, Owen still is managed to have this strong connection with the Velociraptor. After everything that happens, Owen still managed to have that connection with the Velociraptor. And I really like that. And then basically we get to see Claire's nephews, played by Nick Robertson and Tyson, reunite with their parents. I didn't need to see that, but I do appreciate that Colin Trevorrow put that in. Even so it isn't an interesting plotline, I do appreciate that, you know, Colin Trevorrow managed to keep that plotline going for the rest of the film. Even so it didn't pique my interest, he did keep it going, and it did provide some closure to that plotline with the parents and that whole family, you know, the whole family sticking together. Again, it's that theme from the original Jurassic Park films. Carry on to this film. It's not done that interesting in the film, but I do appreciate that Colin Trevorrow finished it in this film in some other way. I do appreciate that he tried to carry that plotline in this film, even so it's not that interesting. And also, they didn't get this little moment between Claire and Owen, and Claire's like, what do we do now? And then Owen's like, stick together. But the thing is, watching that scene now, ever since I've seen this Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, that scene is a bit, it doesn't really play much significance anymore, because in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the sequel to this, they've broken up. And it's just be like, oh, they're going to stick together at the end of this film. Oh, that's quite nice. Oh, no, wait. They've broken up in this film. And by the way, I will do my view of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and that's going to be it. That's going to be an interesting view, by the way. But when you watch Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, it makes that relationship at the end look a bit pointless, to be honest. Then we get the final part of the film, the final few minutes of the film, and we see the T-Rex on eyes and Uber, and he roars, and then you get this fantastic score from Michael Giacchino going in the background, and then it's like the T-Rex is ruling the island once again. It ruled the island at the end of Jurassic Park, and it's doing it now. And I must admit, that scene brought a huge smile to my face at the very end, you know, because you just see the T-Rex just roars on eyes and Uber, and you get this huge wide shot of eyes and Uber, and you see the T-Rex in the middle, and it's like, wow. I must admit, the last few moments of the film just brought a huge smile to my face. Yeah, I thought the ending to the film was fantastic. So that's basically the whole of the film, and as you can tell, there's a huge part of this film that I like. But honestly, there's so many parts of the film that just feel like a huge nod to Jurassic Park. Like the whole old park sequence in the film, it's almost like the filmmakers was just like, remember Jurassic Park? We're trying to recreate that magic here. And I understand why they're trying to do that, because this film is a soft reboot after Jurassic Park 3. I understand what they're trying to do here, but just, there's a bit too many nods to Jurassic Park, I must admit. I don't mind those nods. I don't. I'm actually one of those people that don't mind those nostalgic trips back in these films. But it's just a tad bit too many here. And also, there's some silly plotlines of the whole Velociraptor plotline in the film is really silly. Why is there this plotline to do with these parents getting a divorce now, which is coming in and out of there? There's not really any point to that plotline. There's no significance to the whole plot of the film. It's just kind of thrown in there for the sake of being there. Sometimes the writers sat down and was like, don't really need for this film a divorce plotline. It doesn't play any significance to the rest of the film. This film does carry on those themes in the original Jurassic Park, and I do like that. You do get the whole theme of playing with God. In the first film, that was to do with Malcolm and John Hammond. John Hammond played with God, and he created those dinosaurs, and Malcolm was very much against it. And in this film, Claire was the person who authorized the creation of the Indominus Rex. He's basically playing with God even further now, and now they're bringing into it a genetically engineered dinosaur. Yeah, they're playing with God even further there. And there's a whole idea of, you know, sticking together no matter what. It isn't that clear in this film, and also it isn't really that interesting. Like I said, I just never believed that these kids played by Nick Robertson and Simpkins were in genuine danger. It does kind of affect you viewing in the film when one of the themes of the film is sticking together no matter what, and yet I didn't feel that those two characters were in genuine danger. That theme wasn't always there for me. It wasn't always present for me. Although it is there, and I do like that the filmmakers tried to put it in, it just didn't work as well as it could have been. Also, it's a Jurassic film review, so I have to talk about the musical score for the film. I think Michael Giacchino's score is absolutely fantastic for the film. You know, it's no John Williams score, but that doesn't bother me in my opinion, because, you know, John Williams is John Williams. He's composed some of the most famous themes of all time. But the thing is, Michael Giacchino, he did a good job, like, trying to bring some new themes to the table. This film uses those classic John Williams Jurassic Park themes to make you feel like you're watching a Jurassic film, but at the same time, it also brings in new themes in there. New themes which work really, really well. I think Michael Giacchino did a superb job scoring the film. You know, a lot of people criticised the score for the film when it came out, considering that he tried to incorporate those classic John Williams Jurassic Park themes in there, as well as incorporate some of these new themes in there. I think he did an absolutely fantastic job. Not the best Jurassic soundtrack, but it's definitely not a bad one either. But ultimately, I do really like this film. I don't love it, I really like it. I do understand the film has a lot of problems and a lot of plot holes. And a lot of things in the film that just really make your eyes roll, honestly. But the thing is, whenever I sit down to watch these Jurassic films every summer, I always watch Jurassic World. I don't always watch Jurassic Park 3. And the thing is, I do always watch Jurassic World because I enjoy, for the most part, this film. Yes, it doesn't have a fantastic playback quality. But the thing that I love about Jurassic Park, and even The Lost World for that matter, is when you watch those films time and time again, you start to have that sense of irony in those films, and at the same time, you might enjoy it more because you might notice more things. The things with Jurassic World, yeah, I always notice something new about it, but that isn't always a good thing because I always know it's a new plot hole. But it's fun to watch. I think it's a huge step up from Jurassic Park 3, and I like the lead two performances from Chris Pratt and Bryce Howard, and ultimately, I like the film. The CGI is great, the action scenes in the film are great, the scenes with the dinosaurs in the film are really well shot. I think Colin did an absolutely superb job making this film. I just wish that I felt a more connection to these characters, and more connection to these storylines, and that I just wish they took out some of the storylines, and I just wish that I felt that these kids were in more genuine danger. I never felt that, because that's one of the big themes of the film, and I never felt that. But ultimately, I like the film, I just don't love it. And for that reason, I'm going to give Jurassic World a 7.3 out of 10. I think the musical score is great, the CGI is great, the action sequence is great, Colin did a superb job making this film. The lead two performances from Bryce Howard and Chris Pratt are great. It's made really, really well. I even don't mind the whole idea of Jurassic World just being Jurassic Park but bigger. I don't mind that idea because it's a soft reboot. I don't mind some nods to Jurassic Park, they're a bit too many, but ultimately, it does have a lot of plot holes. It is a bit all over the place, I must admit, and this film does have a lot of problems and some silly plot lines, which even so does have some awesome scenes to do with the Velociraptors. The whole Velociraptor plot line in this film is just really, really silly. And ultimately, Jurassic World, I do like this film quite a lot, but I don't love it. And for that reason, I'm going to give Jurassic World a 7.3 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Jurassic World? Do you love it, do you hate it, or have you just not watched it? And if not, why not? Please do comment below and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And just to say once again, I'm still watching and reviewing the Jurassic films right now in Jurassic in-depth reviews. So look forward to my review of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which is going to be very interesting to talk about, coming very soon on the channel. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like, subscribe on this video, and look forward to many more, both film and TVs and Jurassic film reviews coming very, very soon on this. See you guys again soon, but bye for now, bye!